We're launching the stream and I'll start recording the session as well. Okay, we do have a lot to talk about today, so I propose that we start so that people on Facebook can also ask a question there, and we'll make our best to answer all the questions that we have. Welcome to the 8th live session of Techfugees. So Techfugees is a global nonprofit volunteer-led organization thinking about how technology can support displaced persons across the world in different thematics, access to information, connectivity, education, employment, social inclusion, and health. We started to work back in March 2020 on a new project called the Data Hub, where we are collecting data on challenge faced by displaced persons across the world. And we're organizing those live sessions that we're having today to give the mic to displaced persons and local organizations on the ground to talk about their challenge and try to introduce them to digital projects that can make positive impact and change their lives locally. So this is the platform that we've been using in developing the mapping of the challenge faced by displaced persons across the world. As of today, about hundreds of volunteers have been contributing from Colombia to Australia to map those challenges and to give visibility to problems that are recurrent over the world regarding access to rights, regarding access to connectivity, and when a volunteer wants to organize a live session, so a lead contributor like Shahab here about Iraq, we're talking and we're focusing on one challenge faced by displaced persons to try to change this and bring some solutions. Without further ado, I will leave the mic to Shahab to give a little bit more introduction about what he has been working on at the Data Hub and with Techfugees, and why he wanted to organize this session about what's happening in Iraq with the Yazidi community. Thank you, Shahab.
Well, thank you, Louise, for giving us a view, let's say, about what Techfugees do and what are the projects that they are launching. Thank you so much, and thank you for everybody who joined us today and for who is watching us remotely. So my name is Shahab Ahmed, and I am from Dubai, Iraq. I'm studying for a computer science degree in University of the Pupil. I am starting my career as a web developer. I'm also the Iraq country lead for the Techfugees Data Hub. I started collecting data on camps in Iraq in August 2020, including size of camps, what NGOs are active on the ground, and things like that. And I'd like to give a little context around the situation for my pupil, the ground since 2014. The Islamic State of Iraq and Levant, ISIS, is recognized by the United Nations as having committed genocide of Yazidis in Iraq, in central Iraq. ISIS crime included human trafficking, forced conversions, murders, and sexual enslavements. ISIS actions against the Yazidi population have resulted in more than 500,000 people being displaced internally within Iraq and internationally as refugees. Many IDP camps were created within Iraq. Currently, 363,000 people live in IDP camps in Iraq. The conditions in those camps are very bad. with about 10 hours a day of access to free electricity from the Kurdistan governing bodies. At other times, electricity comes from privately owned generators priced at $8 for each ounce. And recently, in the last few months, the Iraq government decided to return the displaced people in camps to their homes. The first step for a returnee is to register with the Kurdistan governing body, which is Asayish, as we told. At which point returnees must sign a declaration that they will not return to the camp. There are NGOs on the ground then that assess returnees with their journey, including transport and basic needs for resettlement. Also, the Iraq government give $1,000 for each family to help returnees. However, the situation there in Sinjar is very bad for returnees, as everything was destroyed and the people are restarting, and returnees are trying to rebuild homes, schools, hospitals, and even basic utilities like electricity, water, sanitation, and access to the internet. The conditions for returnees are actually worse than in the camps. There is at most 2 hours of electricity in a day for the Iraqi government available to returnees. The goal of this live session are to explain the situation on the ground and give a voice to displaced persons and people to express the challenges they face, to share a message of solidarity with Yazidi people in Iraq and local organizations, supporting them, and to show existing solution tackling the challenges faced by people, in particular challenge around electricity, accessing to electricity, and like so. So we have two great speakers today, who is Waheeda on the ground in Iraq, giving us an outline of the challenges faced there, and Vince, who will present about solutions for electricity that have worked in other places. Waheeda will be the first speaker. Waheeda is a humanitarian professional from Sinjar, and Vince, he's supporting Techfugees for a few months. He's from Science and work on Techfugees database. Welcome, Waheeda, and the mic is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. A huge thank for Techfugees for organizing this important event, and thank you for the warm welcome, Shahab. So I am Waheeda. I am an IDP from Sinjar district that locates in the western part in Nineveh Governorate, and I currently live in Kurdistan since 2014. Since the displacement, when the Islamic State started with a genocidal campaign against the Yazidi community. And in order I continue, maybe a lot of the audiences don't know who Yazidis are. Since Shahab gave a very good presentation about the statistics of the camps and the numbers of Yazidis who are displaced. So I'm going just to say just a little bit about who Yazidis are. Yazidis are ethno-religious minority group who live in different parts in the world, but mainly in Iraq. And throughout history, Yazidi community have greatly suffered from religious persecution. And unfortunately, in the 21st century, they have gone through the 74 genocide, and luckily in this time, social media took attention about what happened to them, even though back in the history there is no accurate information and accurate documentation and records about what happened to them before, like the crimes, including mass killing, raping, and brainwashing their children, killing men and enslaving women and girls, and also the forced religious conversion. Yeah, so in 2014, I was displaced to Kurdistan, and since then I occupied with my study, and I graduated from Duhok University. I studied English language, and since 2018, I work with humanitarian organization with supporting Yazidi IDPs. And I currently work with Free Yazidi Foundation. Free Yazidi Foundation is an international organization that established shortly after the genocide of 2014 as a direct response to that genocidal campaign against the Yazidi community. And this organization is committed to provide a path to justice and advocacy to Yazidi survivors, and also providing economic, educational training to Yazidi women and girls, and also providing psychosocial support to these people. And as we all know, well, you might not all know, and it has been 6 years since the displacement, and nothing much have done for these people. And even though we continue our work, especially with the mental health, because we are in the ground, we are directly working with IDPs. We can see how they are traumatized and how they are still suffering from the crimes that happened in 2014, and even after the genocide. They are still facing challenges and problems like lack of jobs and also discrimination. Yazidi community have suffered discrimination and marginalization even before 2014, and it's still unfortunately continued. And just to give an example about the mental health, unfortunately, since last week, 5 young Yazidi people committed suicide due to the bad life condition they are facing in the camps. And if we talk about the returnees now in Sinjar, they're again facing a lot of problems. The major problem is the security. Sinjar district is now in a very bad situation between between a conflict between governments and other parties, and there are many flags there with like it's still like nobody is deciding what how can I say, it's like it's not secured, it's between many parties. No party know what to do for this community, for this area. So the security is the first thing, and the second thing is that the lack of health services. It's very poor even before the genocide. Even before the genocide of 2014, the lack of health, the health system was really bad, and then after the damage of the hospitals and of the damage of people in their houses, now the situation is even worse. And to highlight about the health services, into 2020, due to COVID, many people died, and let's say that many people could not have access even to do a test, even to do a sample test for the COVID-19. And unfortunately, there was no special health center for COVID patients. So in Mosul there was, but people could not because many Yazidi people were killed and enslaved in Mosul. So Yazidi did not trust to be quarantined there, to be treated there. So they had no choice but staying inside the house and dying. And while there's no other health center to go to. And the third point is that that's very important is mental health. I know it has been 6 years, but still people are traumatized. And in the camp, and also the returnees, like they go there and they're facing fears and anxiety, like seeing the area is destroyed and there's no electricity, no health centers, and no education, and no job opportunity. But they had no other choices. They had to go back to their houses, even though they are rebuilding their houses by themselves, not by the governments, by Iraqi governments or Kurdistan government. Yeah, and also the lack of job opportunity. I think I already mentioned. So let's just say that those young Yazidi youth who committed suicide in the last week, they had no job. They thought that there's no other choices for them to help their family and to help themselves. So they found dying is the best option to do. So I think there should be more organization who are responsible for supporting psychosocial support for these IDPs here in Kurdistan, and also for the returnees to Sinjar. And another point that I would like to mention is that the electricity, which is very important. If there is no electricity, for example, there is no water. Like there are many families who return to Sinjar. There are many villages in Sinjar. Maybe it was written in Shahab's presentation. I don't remember how many, but many villages. But many people return to Sinjar. And there is the system of electricity is very poor. And I have, like in 24 hours, like approximately 6 hours, there will be the city electricity. And for the generator, some families do not afford to buy the small local, I think it's called diesel, yeah, small diesel generator. So those families who cannot afford it, just imagine their life condition. And also, maybe international organization can help this community with providing large generator that can cover many blocks of like many neighborhoods. And in order to provide this generator, maybe by organization or by the governments, still they have to supervise and provide oil for example, for those people who will run, who will take, I don't know how to say, who will work with this generator, will provide electricity for the community. And what else? Also water, yeah. So if the electricity system is very poor in Sinjar district, so how can they get water? So if there is a good electricity system, then there will be like water comes with the electricity. So for example, in Sinjar district, there are some villages who have a drinkable water, good water for drinking. But even before the genocide of 2014, there was no projects that was implemented to for this, for example, for these villages to provide water, for example, for other villages to have access from this drinkable water. And what else? Yes. So I will give and like my personal experience. So before 2014, our water that we got it underground had to be we got it through the electricity. And lately, close to 2014, the electricity became even worse. Like, many people had to depend on their neighbors to get water, or to get like cold water. Like this was not a solution. For example, maybe organization can help with 30%, but the others, like 70%, have to be the governments who will provide a permanent solutions for their citizens. I think like everything is a challenge, everything was a problem. Like, if someone asks, are the main needs for the returnees to Sinjar, like, not one thing comes to, like, I can't say only shelter, electricity, water, health centers, education. Since I remembered education, so we have education system is now very bad in some areas in Sinjar. For example, in some area only there is primary school, while those students, when they graduate from primary school, there is no high school. They have to rent buses to go to other village that's maybe 30 minutes or 20 minutes away from them. And some families cannot afford that. So this is the responsibility of the governments to implement projects for education, for health centers, for mental and for electricity and water. And the last point is that the IDPs the returnees that are facing now is the delivery health center. They're finding this a very big challenge. By the time the mother arrives to, for example, to Mosul, the mother dies, unfortunately, or like Kurdistan is 3-4 hours away from Sinjar. Just imagine if a mother is in a labor, and to bring her all the way there is just very hard. They're living in a very horrible situation in Sinjar. And also here, the situation is not good, but at least a bit better than returnees. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Waheeda, for giving us a view about what is going there and the situation at the ground there. And I think yeah, like I've been I've been there like last 3 years. Actually, I was like very surprised by the situation there. Like, all the village are destroyed, like most of the houses are bombed from ISIS after they leave it. And there's I think they are like just starting from zero as they are returning back to their village, because like there's like before 2014 there was like not a good support from they couldn't have a support from no government, Iraqi government, and any other government, not region government, which was Kurdistan. But like as they've been like as their village they've been like destroyed, and they are like since 2014 they've been in displaced pupil camps, and they living there. Like the current situation in those camps are very bad. So imagine like living 7 years in camps and then return back to your home, and you see it as a destroyed and bombed home, and you just start from zero without any assist from government or just some organizations at the ground there. So I think they are they are facing a lot of challenge, but I think there are priorities, let's say priorities challenge they are facing, and I think we like I hope like we could like get some like to reach their voice to some organization at least to like to support and tackle those some of those challenges. So I think like one of the priority that people then there are just like hoping to have it is electricity. And I think like we have a great person with Vince to talk about the solar powered electricity solutions. And yeah, welcome Vince, and thank you for joining us. The mic is.
Just one question before introducing Vince. I had a few questions for you, Waheeda. If it's okay, I want to make sure that we do have time for the questions. Thank you so much for your testimonial and for giving this overview of what's happening in Sinjar. As you said, and as Shahab said, the topic of the session today is particularly dense because rebuilding cities like there are so many challenges, as you said, regarding like health, mental support, security, education, water, livelihood opportunities, and so on. I was wondering, according to your experience, if you had seen people from the Yazidi communities using project remotely through the internet to tackle some of those challenges. And I would add to this, as I know that you're part of the justice program at the Free Yazidi Foundation, access to rights as well as a category. Thank you for this. You're muted.
Sorry, that's a major problem when we start talking and then we're muted. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, for the I think few organizations are like, you know, well, actually, due to COVID, many organizations, you know, like are working remotely. And for my project, like mostly, like most of my work, I did it remotely when it came to justice. Yeah, through internet.
Okay, thank you. So you do have like an application, or you're calling people that can answer in the Sinjar provinces or in other region in Iraq?
In other region, actually, not directly in Sinjar, which is, again, it's really bad, the internet services there, where I have friends there, and I visited the places before. The access to internet is very poor. And to give you an example, before 2014, just imagine, before everything is bad and now it's worse. So before 2014, I was living in Tel Banat village, and only 2 houses had internet. We didn't know what Google is, what Facebook is, what like Instagram and all this. We didn't even know how to use it. Like, I was educated, and I like many people did not have access to go to school. But for example, I was like one of example who, like, I had education, I could have access. But when it came to internet and this technology, I had zero information about. And if we go deeply, like the foundation of like the foundation of the education system and everything system is very terrible here in Iraq.
Okay, thank you for this. And maybe a follow-up question as well, since we believe that access to internet is right, and we have been discussing before with yourself and Shahab as well, the responsibility of the government to support people in accessing internet. And I was wondering, since the Sinjar province is a particular province in terms of geopolitics, that if you could elaborate on who's responsible within the Iraqi government or the Kurdish government, and what are the actions made by the government on the ground to access internet and also to improve the situation for the returnees in terms of security and fight against discrimination.
Yeah, so again, the Sinjar district is now between the conflict of the Kurdish and Iraqi government. And it's not known whether it's the responsibility of the Iraqi central government or the Kurdish government. So it's like the first step has not done yet. Like I can't answer the question of if they have any plans for the for internet, because the security comes first, and the security is not covered yet. They had recently they both government agreed on appointing a new mayor and a new security force in Sinjar, but Sinjar citizens, they are against some of the rules that were made by the government, and still the discussion and conflicts are still ongoing, and they haven't reached to a solution yet. So I can't answer the question of internet for now because we have bigger problems.
All right. Thank you for this. I saw that Yasmin had several questions. So I leave it to you, Yasmin, to ask your questions.
Thank you, Louise. First of all, thank you so much, Waheeda. This was incredibly clear, and thank you for sharing your experience and challenges. I heard a lot of challenges, and I understand they are not the same level, meaning there are things that are more important than day-to-day challenges that are really important according to what you said. So excuse me that because I'm not very aware of everything. One of the questions from what you said, I understand there are so many challenges. So my first question is, according to you, what is the top priority, if we may say that, for next year? You said security, lack of decision, health systems, education. Like if you had to, I don't know, prioritize or say what seems to you the most important for next year. That's my first question. And the second is more, if we may help. I understand that it's new for you, all the communication and internet access. Just to understand, like, what are your challenges in terms of communications? Is it only related to access to internet, or do you need, for example, help to get a few tips on how to communicate when you have access to internet, for example? And just to tell you why I'm asking this question, my specialty is digital marketing, which is like kind of very disconnected with your reality, but sometimes it helps. So yeah, just to understand how do you manage to communicate? Like, is it through word of mouth? Is it through just, I don't know, LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever you can use and you can share with us would be great, please.
Thank you. This is a really good question. I hope I give you a really good answer. So for your first question about a prioritized project for 2021 would be for those returnees would be infrastructure and electricity. These are very two, like the most important point, like building their houses and having access to a good source of electricity there. And then comes health, education, and the rest of the thing. And for the for your second question about how the organization that I work currently with, they're using Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. These are the applications that we are using to communicate with the world and spread the the situation of situation in needs of the Yazidi community.
That's super clear. Thanks so much. I'm happy to, I'm part of Techfugees, and I'm happy to help you if you have any specific question on the communication after the meeting of the live session.
Thank you so much.
More than welcome.
That's a great way to continue, maybe to finish with. Waheeda, if you can share how people can contact you or the Free Yazidi Foundation if they want to support. You do have more questions in the chat, but I would suggest to move on to Vince to talk about two specific projects, and if we do have time, we'll come back to questions. I know that Laure Pascal had questions as well. So if you can share how to contact you, that would be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And after the session, I can discuss with you like how to put you in touch with our organization.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I'm going to give the mic to Vince, who has been working with us for the past few months at Techfugees to work on our database, and who has been identifying some project that enable access to electricity to get access to internet. So it's a very specific use case, and we chose to focus on one very specific use case that could be useful in Sinjar. So Liqi, Vince, I'll leave it to you.
Yes.
I'll share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
1 second. All right.
Yes, great. Thanks, Louise. Thanks, Shahab. Hello, everybody. My name is Vince. I work to support database updating project at Techfugees. I'm also a master student in human rights and humanitarian action at Singapore. Today, I'd like to share two projects from Techfugees database that I believe is relatable. They are not operating in Iraq currently, but they might inspire us and may help Iraqi returnees to be resilient in the future when they return to the under-resourced homeland and build a whole community from nothing. The first project is called Buffalo Grid. As you can see, yes. Buffalo Grid is a project that mitigates the difficulties of getting access to power. It doesn't provide an all-round solution to power a whole community. However, it currently produces and distributes two types of devices, a Buffalo Grid Hub and Buffalitos, to get people's mobiles charged through a debt-free and cost-effective way. The idea of Buffalo Grid originates from the struggle we'll share, phones running out of power. If you have access to uninterrupted power, then this problem isn't so bad. But for over 750 million people across the world who live in off-grid communities, getting their phone charged is a daily challenge, especially for people on the move, the returnees. In India, where Buffalo Grid is currently operating, people in many communities may deal with low quality, inefficient solar panels, expensive diesel generators, and unstable grid power. It's a huge challenge to change it all at one time. But having a charged phone can enhance the quality of life massively. For example, it could help people to stay connected with the communities, families, and authorities, to access information online, to keep business running, and to study without losing online resource for kids studying. So in our case, Iraqis going back to under-resourced hometown is facing the same challenge, and getting access to power and connectivity to charge a phone could be the very first step to rebuild homeland. And following are two products. The first product is Buffalo Grid Hub. It's a solar-powered power bank, makes phone charging and digital content available to all. This device includes a solar panel installed outside the building. As you can see here, it's small and easy to install. and a charging station, which contains a battery in which solar energy is transferred to electricity, a modem, and a Wi-Fi antenna. When a person wants to use the service, they enter the phone number into the charging station, and they will get a one-time password. The password enables the phone charging service in the station, and the Wi-Fi service works in the similar way, and this is all managed by the Buffalo Grid control system. And the second product is Buffalo. The next one. Buffalo is a power bank with multi-purpose lamp. It will fully charge most smartphones and other devices and act as a lamp for hours. This project is currently working in both Sub-Saharan Africa and India. Like mobile phones, Buffaloes can be charged by the Buffalo Grid Hub too. And the lamp has 4 different types of lights that fits different situations like reading, studying, night walking, night riding, and emergency alarming, etc. The package is also functional. The folded package combined with the power bank could be a perfect desk lamp for the kids. And the next project is called Zephyr Solar. This project is based in France right now. Zephyr Solar aims to provide quick and easy platform to access energy, telecommunication, or even to a higher observation point. An observation point is crucial in emergency settings. The product is an autonomous energy platform that is based on rapidly deployable solar balloon. The balloons incorporate onboard functionalities made autonomous in energy, and it is achieved by the ultralight solar panels with 500 watts, covering the upper part of the balloons. As you can see in the picture, the third part, is the solar panels. One advantage of this platform is this is cost effective. It's quick and easy to deploy. Anyone can deploy it in less than 1 hour. And there are no needs for bulky and costly ground infrastructure, which means a saving time and direct investment. And every part of this platform is independent and can be bought independently. But here I have to mention that Zephyr Solar is a project for profit, but the first one, Buffalo Grid, is non-profit. But compared to tethered drones, it's really cost effective. And having this platform flying between 15 meters to 150 meters for weeks, the next page, with the possibility to onboard any system, it enables us to target the air service markets on 2 segments, surveillance, observation, and deployment of telecommunication network in remote, wild, or devastated areas. This platform would do more than establishing connections, but also protection when Iraqis seek their way to rebuild communities. I would say emergency NGOs, civil security, telecom operators, and security actors are all the identified users of this product. One of Zephyr Solar's priorities is to provide connectivity during the first 72 hours on intervention on an emergency situation. By doing so, Zephyr Solar helps to streamlining the actions of every emergency services that are installed on board. Also, by providing network to the population, they will enable to access to information, call their family to prevent them from another disaster or share vital information. Secondly, Zephyr Solar solution can be used by telecom operators. This should be the last page, to access remote or less dense markets and enhance the local economy as well as services for populations. Finally, I want to mention that this platform is mobile, meaning there is no need for bulky infrastructures, neither the deforestation and other non-environmental friendly materials. So it's a very environmental friendly project. So above are the 2 projects I'd like to share. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Vince. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Shahab. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Vince, for giving us a clear view, or let's say the possibility of solution, at least one of those essential challenges that the people there are facing. Yeah, thank you.
I also wanted to thank you so much, Vince, and I wanted to mention that these are very specific, again, solutions, because it's accessing electricity to access internet, and we know that there are other needs to be covered and to use electricity for. I'll be sharing also another video about Nadia's initiative to illustrate some kind of collaboration in between NGOs and telecom operators to install, as you were mentioning, Waheeda, like big generators that are very different from those projects as well, and I think complementary. I have a question maybe for you both, Vince and Shahab. I know that we have been discussing about these different options, and Waheeda as well, if you want to join and share some feedbacks about what you think, you're more than welcome. I was wondering, maybe Shahab, according to you, among the different use cases, what you think would be most useful in the Sinjar province, because we have like this solar bank for collective chargers usage. We have this individual Buffalo light that is charging as well. We have this balloon, and I wanted to get your thoughts on those projects, if you think it might be useful, or if generators are the priority. What do you think?
Well, I think they are like good and would be useful for the people. They're like, as like they are just starting from zero and they don't have electricity for like access to electricity. And like during the day, like let's say during 24 hours, they have just 2 hours electricity. So like this might be very like helpful for the people there. But I think like it would be like more like effective, and like like the generators, like for in my view, I think it would be like it could be like more tackling the main challenge, because those people are not like just they don't like live in like very beginning life. Like most of them are students, like in universities, and like they're like, especially in this crisis which is COVID-19, they should have access to internet and electricity during the day to study online and offline as well. So like I think it is good to have it like, let's say, plus as a plus thing. So maybe like with generators for some hours, and having those products like would be very useful and good for the people there.
Thank you, Shahab. Waheeda?
Yes, and anything would be good for the returnees. You know, the generators in that product that you were talking about. I'm not well informative and known about these products, but anything that will provide a good source of electricity and having access to internet will be good for the displaced people. I mean, anything that will be provided by organizations or government, at least if it's a slight bit of help, will make a change.
Thank you, Waheeda. I see that we do have a question from Mohammed. Mohammed, if you want to turn your mic on.
Well, I was wondering what the international organizations are doing, basically, in responding to this crisis, and also the Iraqi government. Does they have any plan for transition period for like the returnees from camps to their protected areas, basically?
The question is for me, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, so as of now, no clear plans by the government for the returnees, but still there are some organizations that are operating there, providing compensation and psychosocial support, but that's not enough. It's like not all people are having access to these services. Like in some areas, two organization existed, in some areas not, there are no organization. So no clear plan for now. Even though people, they have no choices, they have to go back to their places because they say it has been 6 years, we can't live longer in the tents, especially after the decision that was made by the Iraqi government due to COVID, the lockdown between governance. Many Yazidi men were in Iraqi military and they were stuck in Baghdad, and in months they couldn't reunite with their families. So their family members have to go back to Sinjar in order to unite with the householders. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We do have 5 minutes left, and I wanted to share also some actions made by Nadia's initiative, as we have been in touch as well with them to organize a live session. Unfortunately, they couldn't join today, but they asked if we could do a follow-up discussion, which we are going to do because we were in touch as well with Buffalo Grid and Zephyr Solar, who were interested in discussing more about how to get involved to improve the situation in Sinjar. A few words about Nadia's initiative. It's a foundation that was funded by Nadia Murad, so the Nobel Peace Prize in 2018. And the foundation has been very active in Iraq since then to support and to advocate globally for the survivors of sexual violence and to rebuild the Sinjar province in the areas where the Yazidi community is living. I think it was an interesting example of how electricity could be brought back by the collaboration in between telecommunication operators and local grassroots organizations as well. So we're going to keep talking with them afterwards and see how we could support their initiative. And I'm going to play you a video which is going to be more speak for itself. Let me know if you can hear it.
أنا دي مرات كنا في البانسر وجماعتنا البنات كرمنا بو عفنا بو ما يرو كرم شمراننا البنات وهم قال لك يجي ممنون إنه قال لك شغله يتزحمت بو كرمنا بو عفنا بو زيادات زحمت بو ما مصرفة بانزينا موالدة ما عود كنو كارن غطاسي خو بشغلين إنه هم تشتي خو كنو مجاميدات خو تلاجات خو هم جي قال لك ممنون مالا يعفاو
خلقي بربروجن ام بقريانا جيخوا نقاف ابو نكهرف ابو تشتغنا ابو خانين محمود خراكرينا داعش خانين محمود خراكرينا انا قلت اللي بنيش ده خانيا خانيا جابانينا ام هاتنا بدريم محمود قفحتي بنا ابو نكهربو كهرب جمراني بدريم ما بدار خلقي مجي بقريا سر جواري فا ومجي انا كخوانو بردوام بكينو
that was the video I wanted to share. Again, we're in touch with the Nadia's initiative, and we're going to continue the discussion after this live session. I wanted to thank everyone who could join today, and maybe leave the mic one last time to Shahab and Waheeda to share a last message for if the audience here had to remind one thing or get one thing that they could do following up the session, what would it be to support the Yazidi community in Iraq? Yeah, the mic is yours for this last question.
Yeah, just one last comment is that those organizations that are committed to provide electricity and internet services to Iraq, if they could coordinate with Iraqi government to come up with some projects for the areas that are damaged by ISIS, you know, to have access to electricity and internet and healthcare and just everything, but especially electricity. Yeah, I think in coordination with Iraqi government, this would be very possible.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, the last thing I would say it is like, as those people are just starting from zero, like anything would be amazing, anything would be very helpful for them to rebuild their homes and their city. So there's definitely like priorities, challenges, and things that can and like for those people are facing, but we have a lot of things to do for them, and even though like the Iraqi government did not do let's say did not do anything at the ground, but they are just like planning, but their plan has been about 6 years ago, and they start planning, but nothing in reality. They don't do anything. So I think like it is organizations like responsibility to like take even do a little step towards the people, because like anything can be helpful, and especially there's main things, let's say like water, electricity, and access to internet and other things. Thank you so much for everybody who joined us, for all of you, and for who watched this live session. Thank you so much for being
Thank you very much.
Just one last thing from you. We want you to push the governments to take an action. I know they're very slow in taking action. They have a lot of plans that are not made yet, and it has been 6 years, as Shahab said. So we want you to push on the governments to take actions for those poor people who are facing a horrible situation back in their homeland. And thank you so much for this event. It was very helpful.
Thank you so much.
Problem. Thank you very much. I'm going to conclude the session then. I wanted to thank all the partners who made it as well possible. Thank you, Shahab, for organizing it with so much energy during this Christmas break, and for sharing the word about what's happening there. It's very important that people know, and information is the first step to action as well. We'll stay in touch and organize a follow-up discussion with all the organizations mentioned during this presentation, as they didn't necessarily knew each other, were interested to get connected. Thank you, Waheeda, and thank you, Vince, for presenting the situation there and for making the research about the projects. And maybe my last comment would be, if you want to support and to get involved with the Data Hub and follow up with this live session and connect with the different partners, please do get in touch at ilo@techfugees.com. The next live session that we'll be organizing will be in 2 or 3 weeks on Friday about the situation for displaced persons at the border between Colombia and Venezuela and the challenge regarding identity. So please join us, and thank you again, everyone. And we'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Up and